What happens when the most explosive files in modern American history are locked away in secrecy, protected not for justice but for power? The Epstein files aren't just papers collecting dust, they represent names, connections, and a trail that could expose some of the most influential figures in politics, finance, and beyond. Congressman Ro Khanna demanded Congress finally take a stand, release the files, or admit you're shielding predators. At the very same time, Attorney General Pam Bondi admitted the files were on her desk, then suddenly reversed course, refusing to let the public see what she once promised to share. And as outrage spread, Elon Musk added fuel to the fire with a blunt challenge that cut through the noise. But this wasn't just about Epstein. This was about government corruption, broken trust, and the people versus the elite.
The American people, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, want the Epstein files released with the victim's identity protected. Now, most people don't understand how this town works, so I'm going to try to explain this really simply. Congressman Massey and I introduced a bipartisan bill to release all the Epstein files and to make sure victims were protected. There are 10 Republican co-sponsors of that bill, including MAGA stalwarts like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, including Lauren Boebert, including Tim Burchett. And we have the votes tonight to pass it. But what happened is, in the Rules Committee, they don't want to have this vote tonight because they know they're going to lose, because they know their own members want to vote for it. What's even sillier is they have this non-binding resolution. So I thought, surely we would vote on a non-binding resolution. They don't even want to vote on the non-binding resolution in case Donald Trump gets slightly offended. They don't even want the vote on the non-binding resolution tonight. Now, the president is paying attention, not just because his favorite Congressman Thomas Massey is involved. He's paying attention, and he said, okay, let's release. He directs the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, let's release and ask the courts to release the grand jury testimony. Here's the problem. The grand jury testimony is largely about Epstein and Maxwell, not about all the rich and powerful men who abused, assaulted, and abandoned young women. Those people are still being protected. And by the way, the courts usually don't release grand jury testimony. But you know what? The president is hearing the American people. And the president knows that if there's a vote tonight, this body overwhelmingly would vote for the release of the files.
30 seconds.
Additional 30 seconds.
Because I need 10 seconds. This question is, whose side are you on? Today, the Democrats are on the side of the people. The Democrats are on the side of the children. There are 10 Republicans who are on the side of the people and the children, but the entire Democratic Party is on that side, and the Republicans have chosen to protect the rich and powerful men who've abused our children. It's wrong, and that's the clear difference tonight.
Congressman Ro Khanna stepped onto the House floor with a demand that cut through the usual noise of politics: a full and immediate release of the Epstein files. His amendment wasn't complicated or bogged down in technicalities, it was brutally simple. Force every lawmaker to go on record, yes or no. Do you believe the American people deserve transparency, or do you stand with secrecy that shields predators and protects elites? Khanna framed the moment as a test of trust, reminding the country that these files have sat in silence for years while suspicion and anger grew louder. He pointed directly to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who herself admitted the files were on her desk, yet now insists nothing should be released. To Khanna, that contradiction exposes the rot at the core of government. His amendment was more than a procedural move, it was a line in the sand forcing Congress to show whose side they were truly on. Ro Khanna cast the Epstein files fight as more than a dispute over documents, it was a showdown between elites and ordinary Americans. He argued that secrecy doesn't just protect abusers, it corrodes democracy itself. Every day the files remain hidden, suspicion deepens, and faith in government weakens. To him, the refusal to release the files reveals a system designed to favor billionaires, political insiders, and the powerful few at the expense of justice. And Pam Bondi stood right in the middle of that storm. By admitting she had the files then reversing her promise, Khanna suggested she symbolized exactly what Americans feared most, a government willing to cover for predators while victims are left voiceless. He painted the choice in stark terms. On one side, secrecy, corruption, and elite protection. On the other, transparency, accountability, and the people. Khanna warned that the country could no longer afford to look away. The stakes had never been higher. Pam Bondi's role quickly became the most controversial piece of this unfolding drama. In her own words, she admitted the Epstein files were sitting on her desk, a statement that signaled she held evidence the public had waited years to see. Yet when the moment for transparency arrived, Bondi reversed course, blocking the release and insisting there was nothing to see. To many, that abrupt shift looked less like caution and more like obstruction. Congressman Ro Khanna wasted no time pointing to the contradiction. How could the Attorney General acknowledge possession of the files then refuse to let the truth come out? For Khanna, Bondi's actions epitomized the very corruption the public feared, elites shielding one another under the cover of official power. Her sudden silence wasn't just suspicious, it was a red flag. The reversal begged a darker question: who exactly was Bondi protecting, and at what cost to the victims and the American people? When Ro Khanna's amendment reached the House Rules Committee, the battle lines became crystal clear. Democrats on the panel, joined by one Republican, Ralph Norman, voted in favor of releasing the Epstein files. But 7 Republicans banded together to block the measure, ensuring the full House would never see a vote. Congressman Khanna blasted the move as a blatant attempt to bury the truth and protect powerful names still hidden in the files. Adding fuel to the outrage was Pam Bondi's earlier admission that the documents were already on her desk. Her refusal to release them, paired with Republicans' maneuver to prevent even a debate, painted a picture of a system working overtime to protect elites instead of delivering justice. The absence of Chip Roy during the vote only heightened suspicions about political games being played behind closed doors. For Khanna, this wasn't just a procedural loss, it was evidence of a coordinated cover-up, with Bondi's stonewalling at the very center. As news spread that the Epstein files would remain locked away, public outrage surged. Americans across the political spectrum demanded to know why transparency was being denied yet again. The frustration only deepened when Pam Bondi's role resurfaced. Her own admission that the files were on her desk clashed directly with her refusal to release them. That contradiction became a lightning rod for anger, fueling accusations that she was shielding the very people she was sworn to hold accountable. Into this storm stepped Elon Musk, who cut through the political spin with a blunt message: just release the files. His words echoed the raw frustration of millions, highlighting the absurdity of endless excuses while victims remained voiceless. Musk's intervention also revealed fractures inside the political establishment, contrasting bold demands for openness with Bondi's stonewalling. For Khanna, it was proof that the fight had broken beyond party lines, and with pressure mounting, the question grew louder: how long could this cover-up really last? For Ro Khanna, the Epstein files fight was never just about one scandal, it was about a deeper crisis of trust eating away at the foundation of government. He argued that when powerful figures like Pam Bondi openly acknowledge having the files, only to block their release, it reinforces the worst fears of ordinary Americans, that the system is designed to protect the elite while silencing the vulnerable. Every day those files stay hidden, suspicion festers, conspiracies grow stronger, and confidence in public institutions weakens. To Khanna, Bondi's reversal was more than a policy choice, it was a symbol of how government bends to shield insiders while the people are left in the dark. The message being sent was clear: the rich are untouchable, while victims are forgotten. By blocking transparency, lawmakers deepened the divide between Washington and the public, fueling outrage that cut across party lines. And Khanna warned that without action, the people's trust might never return. As critics pushed back, some warned that releasing the Epstein files could set a dangerous precedent. Federal investigative materials, they argued, are kept sealed for a reason: protecting ongoing cases, national security, and the privacy of individuals never charged. But Congressman Ro Khanna dismissed those concerns, insisting the Epstein case is wholly unique. He reminded the public that Attorney General Pam Bondi herself had gone on record saying the files were on her desk, even promising transparency before suddenly reversing course. That contradiction, Khanna argued, wasn't about precedent, it was about political protectionism. He emphasized that the Epstein case involved extraordinary factors, global networks, foreign entanglements, and potential risks to national security. For that reason alone, shielding the files only fueled speculation that elites were hiding something far more damning. Bondi's refusal to release them, despite her earlier pledge, only amplified suspicion. Khanna declared that full disclosure was the only way to repair the shattered trust between government and the people. In the end, the battle over the Epstein files became more than a clash of politics, it became a test of democracy itself. Congressman Ro Khanna framed it as a defining moral choice, transparency for the people or secrecy for the elites, and right at the heart of that test stood Pam Bondi. By admitting the files were on her desk, then blocking their release, she became the symbol of the very system Americans no longer trust. Khanna warned that if even these files can be buried, then what else can the powerful hide from public view? The refusal to act doesn't just protect abusers, it destroys faith in government. Every vote to block transparency deepens the divide between leaders and citizens. For Khanna, this fight isn't over. He vowed to keep pressing until the truth is forced into the light. And for millions of Americans, the message is clear: silence is no longer an option.